Notice, in accordance with the new copy regulations, this episode of Quoth Raven is intended for ages 16 and up. While some of the content we will feature is kid-friendly, the context of the episode is to address adults and inform them of said content for them to research as consumers in service of their youth, in other words, parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, teachers, librarians, etc. There's a possibility of adult languages, or adult language, not languages, present on the episode as well. Rated TV 16 and up. And hello once again, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Quoth Raven, Lewis Bright Raven. I'm your host, Lewis Bright Raven, 29-year professional comics writer, artist, and editor. And today is Monday, April 12th, so we're going to go into our reviews, but we have questions this week, so let me go ahead and get those answered first. Angela says, you were really harsh on Wonder Woman 1984 last week. I don't remember you being that harsh on the DC shows or the Joss Whedon Justice League. What gives? I can be that harsh on some of the DC shows. I have been. I just, no one's asked me to review Arrow or Supergirl or they've asked me to read Batwoman. I was not particularly pleased with Batwoman. As for Joss Whedon's Justice League, I was not particularly a fan of that either. Haven't seen the Snyder version, so I don't know how much better it is or isn't. If they ever decide to release it as a DVD version, maybe I'll check it out, maybe I won't. But as far as Wonder Woman 84, the main reason is the first one was actually a pretty good movie, and it left itself some pretty high standards to meet, and I think just the level of expectation, it was fell way short. That's all. Next question. How come we never see you working on an official work for a published project during live draws? It's always practice work. From Miguel Esser or Assar from Illinois. Well, if it's an official work for a publisher, that's not me. A lot of the times they don't want you to show your work until it's approved of and ready to be solicited. So that's one reason why I don't show work like that all the time. But, if someone wants to commission me or something, that's an official work, but no one ever commissions me lately. So, that's what I'm doing practices is mostly that reason. As far as showing my own characters and stuff, I'm just, I don't know. I guess I'm just holding things close to the vest right now. Next question. Anonymous asks, do you ever paint? I mean, real painting, not computer stuff. I have in the past, but not recently. It hasn't been for a long time. I do have paint in the house. I paint miniatures. I think people have seen me do that online. I don't know, but as far as painting on canvas, I haven't done that in probably 15 years or so. Even though I've got paints, probably my acrylic paints are all shot. They're probably all dried out. I haven't looked at them, so they're back in my storage area. So I just haven't anybody asked me for that. So we'll see. Maybe someday. Maybe that'll be something I can do on a live draw as a painting instead of drawing. And various parties ask me, what is your position on the whole NFT rights issue? Where you sell your digital art with some sort of digital signature that only one person can own as the original. This is a topic that's been of quite the issue as of late. A lot of people don't like it because apparently to maintain it takes up a lot of energy on computer databases or something, and I guess that makes the carbon footprint heavier or whatever. Personally, I don't know. Um, I think it's going to be the wave of the future, whether people like it or not, because so many artists have gone digital in recent years and are going to continue to go more digital. That I think it's just an inevitability, one way or the other. So it comes down to now, um, because it is a digital thing. How do you make it so that it's a singular entity for like a one-off piece versus something that can be reproducible? Because most digital work is reproducible on some level. And also whether or not the big companies like Marvel or DC are going to go after artists for doing commissions like that of their characters. Now, we haven't done that with the paper. They've given us grace, even though technically, legally, they could go after most artists for doing that if they weren't already under contract. But with digital, some of the money that's being raised in auctions and stuff like that for this material is getting really up there, and it's made some companies take notice. And I don't know. I think that there's going to be um, a lot of change forthcoming in regards to how we handle digital art, and not just in comics, but just in general. For that reason, so where I stand is I'm more of a traditional artist. Um, I don't do a whole lot of digital work, and when I do digital work, it's usually collaborative with someone else. So, you know, I'd rather own the file myself, and maybe the colorist owns the file type thing, and that's it. I don't know. Um, I don't know if I'm going to do something like that or not. Um, I think the main reason people are looking to do it is because we aren't physically um, going to shows and stuff like that. And we'll see how it evolves as it goes, because it's not going to happen overnight. So if you have a question for me, you email quotheravenlbr72 gmail.com, subject QTR Q&A. And that takes care of our questions this week. So let's get on to the reviews. We're going to start with Beasts of Burden, Occupied Territory #1. From publisher Dark Horse. Writers are Evan Dorkin and Sarah Dyer. Artist is Benjamin Dewey. Genre is supernatural. Released April 7th, 2021. Recommended for ages 13 up, rating 5 stars. What it's about: Emery's an elder member of the occult battling pack known as the Wise Dogs, recalls a harrowing mission. In U.S. occupied Japan after World War II, a mysterious curse has created an army of crawling, disembodied heads, which threatens to overwhelm the region. Emery's and a team of canine companions attempt to solve the mystery, bringing them into conflict with sharp, shape-changing Tanuki, evil Oni, and a horde of vengeful demons. Excellent first issue. I'm slowly warming up to Dewey's art. Jill Thompson happened to be the original Beasts of Burden artist, and maybe she'll return to the book at some point, but Benjamin seems to be taking over the last few series. He's doing a decent enough job. It does seem to be a story that newcomers can jump on at in the series and not be lost. It's a self-contained type arc starting up, so even though there's a kind of a segue in the beginning that kind of leads into stuff that they were in the past and past issues, it's not something that's going to like distract you from the story. And here's Dewey is the sheepdog here. And he's owner or handler is working with him. And he seems to be apparently reading the comics, but he's not really reading the comics. He's actually reading the dossier files beneath the comics, because he can actually talk like a human being, and his agent handler knows this. And he basically read the papers to see what he could find out, to see if the upper echelon people were hiding anything that the handler, needed to know about. Our next, and this is the last page. Emrys befriends this other dog, and they found these dead bodies, and one of them comes alive, and the neck snaps off and bites the dog in the leg, and that's where they end it for the issue. And I don't know if that means that the dog's going to be infected with whatever's causing this or not. What's that going to look like? I hope not, because the poor dog just got introduced. But but we'll see what happens. Our next book is Deep Beyond number 3, $3.99 from Image Comics. Writers are Mirko Andolfo and David Goy. Artist is Andrea Brocardo. The genre is science fiction horror. Released April 7th, 2021. Well, it's about Paul and Jolene become a more close-knit team, and together they finally reach Pam's submarine. But sea monsters and threats in the wilderness are not the only thing to be afraid of. On a surface world, politics and plots between cities start to unfurl, and the consequences will fall on the unauthorized rescue expedition. It's pretty much a status quo next chapter of this story. There's no great reveals, in my opinion. And the story is more about Paul's character in this chapter. It's him trying to move forward with what's going on so far. As this first arc concludes soon, I suspect it won't have a satisfactory conclusion, at least not for my taste, but it is what it is. I give it 3.5 stars, ages 16 and up. Let's take a look at the art. This is art by Andrea Brocardo, and Andrea Maloney is the colorist on this. And it's Jolene having kind of like a talk or memory, maybe a connection, psychic connection with her sister Pam, who's stuck on the submarine and being potentially, she's seeing her sister devolve into whatever the infection does to you. And this is after they've woken up, and they say, well, we can always. They're on a submarine, and they've got these weird jellyfish, as you can see, with one eye at the top and everything. But they have to turn their sonar off because they don't want to be seen by sonar, which doesn't make sense because sonar, you don't get heard by sonar. If you're physically in the water, it detects you. So I don't understand why they need to keep their sonar turned off, but they say they need to keep their sonar turned off. And so how they're going to pilot the ship is by some sort of smelling component. There's a reader that smells certain odors that's in the water that's going to lead them to Pam's sub. Artwork is nice. Story's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. Like I said, a little bit above average. Our next book is ENGINEWARD number 9, $3.99 from Vault Comics. Writer George Mann, artist Joe Eisema, colors by Michael Garland. Genre is science fiction. April 7th, 2021 is when it came out. And what it's about, Joss, Ichabod, and the remaining crew of adventurers are left to be eaten alive by rabid alien big hounds. Gemini returns with the robot head that Joss had been using to learn more about the origins of both themselves and the so-called gods, and how the gods are frauds, and how they now have possession of this head. But in the meantime, the village has seen one of the gods murdered amongst their own midst, and now the mayor and others are conspiring to thwart the gods, while the gods have their own inner circle conspiracy afoot. Everything's going on at a certain pace. There's just enough issues left, because this is a 12-issue series. There's just enough plot set up to conclude in 3 issues. So the pacing seems to be okay. I guess I'm just losing interest as we enter the final turn and head towards the finish line of the story. It's recommended for ages 15 up. I give it 3 stars. And this is artwork from it. And the coloring is okay. I don't know. Some of the atmospherics makes it feel kind of blah to me. I don't know. This is where Gemini brings the robot head to one of the other gods. I think it's Demeter or something like that. I don't know, but I can't remember which one it is. But she's going to use the robot head and plug it in and force it to tell her everything that it told Joss and the other explorers. Our next book is Far Sector number 11 for $3.99. Publishers DC Comics. Writers N.K. Jemisin. Artist is Jamal Campbell. Genre is science fiction, political drama, superhero, action story. Released April 7th, 2021. And what it's about, Green Lantern Joe Moline and Constable Murth race to the Central Command as Glory, one of the AI type people, tries to cause complete chaos and the destruction of all the races in the city enduring during the city's first all-inclusive election. And if Glory doesn't get her way, she's got a backup plan. Shut down the city's protective shielding screens and let invaders attack. Not to mention this would have potentially eventually wipe out the city's atmosphere and expose everybody to lethal radiation, killing everyone who did survive the invasion. And Joe's only got 20% left in her ring, 20% power, and no time or means to recharge her ring as the city destroys itself from within and the invading forces attack. This is what a Green Lantern comic should be. Political intrigue, a character who is on their own and doesn't have the backup to call on. Like most of the time, almost all the time, the Green Lanterns have backup. It's ridiculous. To come to their aid, and they're not at the peak of their full resources. And that's, I want to see that kind of a story. Would this story have been just as good had it been John Stewart or Hal Jordan in the lead? Not with Hal Jordan, definitely not, because Hal would be too headstrong and too much of a jerk. Maybe with John Stewart, since he tried to make the Mosaic world 2 decades ago in our time, but several years ago in DC history. And that's basically what the city enduring is Mosaic on a space station Dyson sphere like structure, instead of just putting everyone on a planet. So he'd probably have some good ideas of how to handle this situation. But what Jemison's able to do by bringing in a new female lead Green Lantern is a combination of relationships that typically don't get examined very well when we have the guys as the primary character and point of view. So I'm liking it that way as well. There's only one more issue to go. How is Moline going to stop a city-wide riot and defend everyone against an invading armada of ships with only 20% power left in the ring? I'm looking forward to see how the writer resolves the series here. It's recommended for 17 and up for mature readers. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. And I did not do any artwork because unfortunately the copy I bought was damaged and I didn't know it. Pages are falling out of it. So I have to return it to the store tomorrow or Wednesday and get a new copy. Our next book is Green Lantern number 1, $4.99 from DC Comics. Writer is Jeffrey Thorne with artist Dexter Soy and Marco Santucci, or Tucci. Without colors by Alex Sinclair. The covers by Bernard Chang and Alex Sinclair. Genre, science fiction, political drama, superhero fiction. Released again April 7th, 2021. And what it's about, well, there's a lot going on in this issue. The planet Oa, which is the Guardians planet that is looking, where all the Green Lanterns are based, is looking to be the official policing agency for the United Planets, so to speak. They want to join the United Planets, but since they've always kind of been separate because of their policy of being the police force, it's kind of a weird thing going on because they've been autonomous all this time, which explains why so many planets hate Green Lanterns, because it's like having an outside group invade and take over your law enforcement. If they become a member of the United Planets, then the government can have maybe a little more insight over their operations. Think of it as like Star Wars, with the Green Lanterns being the Jedi, does the Senate have power to dictate to the Jedi or not? And yeah, and the thing is, technically, the Jedi weren't law enforcement; they were peacekeepers. So it's kind of that same sort of balance. Anyway, the Guardians are trying to test Teen Lantern. That's the one floating above, pointing the finger at the blue guy, because they don't know the actual source of her power gauntlet. It's not something from Oa. It's not something that they created, so they're suspicious of it. And they're trying to take it from her, and she's not going to let them have it. And think about it. What 11-year-old would let some adult take something away that makes them feel like they're the only thing that makes them feel special? Especially if she passes all of their psychological exams and physical tests and everything else that they've asked her to do. Why does she need to give them the gauntlet? And Pop Culture says, hey, Raven, hey, Pop Culture, how are you doing today? Hope you're having a good day. In the meantime, a terrorist attack on the election of the United Planets, election to decide whether or not the O is going to become a member of the planets, by a wizarding group from the planet Xerox, forces the Lanterns into a chaotic situation. Can they stop the terrorists while protecting the delegates from the United Planets, representing each planet, effectively proving their worthiness to be the policing agency, or will everything fall apart? Don't want to give it away. Now, I wouldn't say necessarily that this book is an easy read for brand new readers. There's a lot of backstory, a lot of history to the characters, past and new alike. Even though it's just in passing, it's not like really depth oriented, but there's just a lot of things going on in this book. And Thorne's cramming a very dense story into the issue. But for readers who have at least a passingly familiarity with these characters, it's a very solid start. I recommend it for ages 13 and up, and I give it 4 out of 5 stars. Let's look at some of the artwork. And this is in the middle of the battle that they're going up. Against this wizarding group from Xerox. And this is one of the Thanagarian women who doesn't, it kind of looks like Hawk Girl that he likes, the Hawk Girl that Jon Stewart is kind of involved with in the Justice League cartoons. I don't know what's going on because I don't follow the regular comics. I haven't followed Green Lantern in a long time. Main reason I checked this out was because Thorne is writing it, and I like Thorne's work. And here's the other artist. That first artist was Dexter Soy. This is not Dexter Soy. This is actually Marco Santucci, who did this artwork. I like Santucci's art. It's very nice, very clean. Would like to see more of this type of art on a regular basis for the book. I don't know if he's capable of doing it fast enough, or what the situation is, or why they have 2 of the artists on the book doing it that way, but I like this art pretty well. Our next book is Heavy Metal 305 for $13.99. Publisher is Heavy Metal Media. Writers and artists are various. It's an anthology magazine, genre science fiction fantasy, released April 7th, 2021. This is the Frazetta cover. There's another cover to it that has a guy with aliens. He's basically on the operating table screaming with his chest split open, and aliens are looking at his organs. I didn't want to share that. I didn't buy that cover, but even if I had, I wouldn't want to necessarily share it. It's a little bit, it's not that it's grotesque. It's just that, somebody might have a fit if I showed it. So anyway, it's another solid comics anthology featuring 11 different comic stories and an interview with Frank Frazetta Jr. talking about his late father, the legendary Frank Frazetta. I did not notice any really weak parts to the book, which is nice. Um, sure, there's some stories I like better than others, but there's not a story that I absolutely dislike, which, with the anthology books, there's usually one or two that I really, not really into that one. That's not the case here. I'm interested in reading everything that's in the magazine. And this is always a solid achievement in and of itself for any anthology magazine or book. The interview with Rosetta Jr. was respectable enough. It had a few interesting tidbits of info readers might not have known about. Um, I'm not going to get into that. I think that if you want to know it, you should go buy the book and read it. Overall, it's a solid issue. It is a 17 and up book, I believe, being mature readers, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And where is that book? Just give me a second there. I didn't have time to scan everything in, so I'll just show some of the artwork this way. Three-headed dog. And my kitty wants attention because it's almost 7. He wants dinner. Sorry about the reflection from the outside light. So you can see there's quite an array of different art styles. Have you been getting heavy metal on a regular basis? Does it hold true to the great Meg in the 70s and 80s? I just recently started picking it up around 300, so I've only like in the last 5 or 6 issues I've been picking it up. Truthfully, I kind of like it better in some ways, more so than the stuff of the 80s. There was always stuff in heavy metal I didn't like before, and this particular editorial group seems to be able to get stuff I like. So I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, I wouldn't knock it by any means. I think they're doing a nice job, better job than when Eastman was running heavy metal. That's for sure. And lastly, Origins 6 of 6, $3.99. Publisher Boom Studios, writer Clay Chapman, artist Jacob Rebelka with colors by Patricio De Pecche. Genre science fiction, released April 7th, 2021. What it's about: Chloe has been captured and taken over by the network. Is this the end of humanity? Or does Chloe have one final act as David and humanity's protector? The story concludes very well. I think the cover gives the ending away for the story a little bit. If you have been reading the book, you'll know what happens just by looking at that cover. If you don't, well, you might not figure it out. I don't know. I would not be surprised if Sci-Fi Channel or someone else actually picked up option for this and adapted it to a TV movie. It has that potential. It didn't have to be. I don't know. It'll be really interesting to see if they do it. Recommend for ages 16 and up. 4 out of 5 stars. Thanks. Yeah, you're welcome, PCA. Let me show the last bit of artwork here. And again, this is, near the end of the series. I'm not really giving anything away. The robots are all protecting David, who's now an old man, and he finds out that Chloe did something to the network and it changed things, and now there's going to be a means for humanity to survive. And that is pretty much our show for today. Wednesday will be our regular what did we get this week. I did not get my Trekker book in the mail today. I thought I was going to get it. It didn't come. Hopefully it'll be here before Wednesday. If it's not, it's not, but no big deal. In the meantime, you can contact me at lewis.brightraven on Facebook, on Twitter at lewisbrightrave2, at deviantart.com/brightraven. Quoth the Raven, Lewis Brightraven is on YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, you can watch other episodes on YouTube at that address. You can email me at quotheravenlbr72@gmail.com with questions or comments. And if I don't respond to your stuff online or something like that, you can try lewisbrightraven@yahoo.com as well. Mondays is our comic news and reviews. Wednesdays is what you get this week. Thursdays is our roundtable talk. I haven't confirmed my guests yet. And Friday night is genre night. I'm hoping to get a couple of guys to talk some horror stuff, but we'll see what's going forward. Saturday is live draw, and I haven't decided what I'm drawing yet. Maybe I'll actually draw something that matters. But that'll be Saturday. Yeah, well, it's okay. Nobody watch it gets in on the minute of when the show starts there. And so I will see you guys next time, and I'll be on Wednesday, and have a good day.